The road to Xenoverse 2 continues, and on this video I want to get into the origins and the history of the Supreme Kai of Time. And what I hope to accomplish is by the time you're done watching this video, you will be more aware of the Supreme Kai of Time, and you'll have more information going into Xenoverse 2. And if you've never played Xenoverse 1 or any of the other Dragon Ball games featuring the Supreme Kai of Time, now I will happily fill you in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and remember to check me out over on Facebook, facebook.com/geekdom101. The Supreme Kai of Time, otherwise known as Toki no Kaioshin, is a character exclusive to what I'm calling the Dragon Ball modern video game universe. The Dragon Ball modern video game universe pretty much encompasses the story that was told in 3 games: Dragon Ball Online, Dragon Ball Heroes, and Dragon Ball Xenoverse. And one must understand that these games, the continuity and the canon of these games, exists outside of the Dragon Ball manga and anime, and that includes Dragon Ball Z, GT, and Super. These games are kind of their own separate storyline. Even though they branch off from the original Dragon Ball story, they have no impact on Dragon Ball Super or any of the future movies, unless Toei and Bandai Namco decide to make them fit, which doesn't appear to be the case anytime soon. So much like the vast majority of other characters from Xenoverse, the Supreme Kai of Time made her debut in Dragon Ball Online, the Korean MMORPG, as she was referred to as the Lord of Time. And as stated previously, is a character that is exclusive to the video game Dragon Ball universe, not the universe from Dragon Ball Super, and thus she has no real affiliation with any of the Dragon Ball Super's god hierarchy. In the Dragon Ball video game world, she is essentially the guardian and the supervisor of the flow of time itself. That's her duty, is to watch over time. And don't be confused by her innocent and young-looking appearance. She's actually millions and millions of years old. Now, in Dragon Ball Online, she was only briefly mentioned, but she did have a very important part of the story, and actually, she's the character that really kicked off the whole video game canon, so to speak. In Dragon Ball Online, the Lord of Time chastised future Trunks for violating the laws of time by using a time machine to go back in time and change the course of history and create new timelines, which is what Trunks did in the original Dragon Ball story. And this would, of course, eventually lead to Trunks being a member of the Time Patrollers and battling against Mira and Towa, the Time Breakers. She pretty much told Trunks that in order for him to be forgiven, he had to pledge his life to helping her keep time in order and stopping the Time Breakers. And then we have, as a result of that, what kicked off the Dragon Ball video game universe and allowed us to play tons of fun games with our friends. But as expected, if you know his character, Trunks proved to be a very loyal and hardworking member of the Time Patrol and grew a friendship with the Supreme Kai of Time. And because of that, she chose not to go back and reverse the changes Trunks made with his time machine, like making new timelines, because she realized that at the end of the day, Trunks going back in time and giving Goku the medicine for the heart virus actually wound up working out better and not worse. Now, when it came to Dragon Ball Xenoverse, the creators over at Bandai Namco had to devise a brand new storyline for the Supreme Kai of Time and further delve into her backstory and create a connection between her and the primary villain of Dragon Ball Xenoverse, the demon god Demigra. And what we come to find out is that 75 million years before the time of Xenoverse, the Supreme Kai of Time was only known as Cronoa. And at that point, she wasn't really a god. And at the time, she had an ongoing rivalry with Demigra, which resulted in her sealing Demigra away for 75 million years. But during that time, Demigra began to power up and become stronger and stronger and stronger. So by the time Demigra returned during the Xenoverse time, he actually became a problem. But luckily by then, Cronoa had a whole new plethora of allies and the Time Patrol to help her battle against Demigra and his newfound friends Mira and Towa, whom many feel he was using just to get ahead and didn't really care about them to begin with. Now, much like the other Supreme Kais, she might not necessarily be physically strong whatsoever and probably couldn't hold a candle to Goku, Vegeta, or any of the gods of destruction or even come close, but she does have some very interesting magical techniques and employs them in battle, as well as having the ability to seal away demons, as well as combating dark magic, which is very useful and a skill that a lot of our heroes don't actually have. But I think the biggest skill that she has, besides the ability to seal away villains, is that she can actually manipulate and control time and erase changes to the timeline, which to me is like really, really useful. You know what I'm saying? So even though the Supreme Kai of Time doesn't often compete in actual battles, she is without a doubt the leader of the Time Patrollers, and in a lot of the video games, she's the one who sends you on missions and guides you along, and you kind of are at her mercy. The battle between the Time Patrol and the Time Breakers is going to continue in Dragon Ball Heroes in Japan, and will of course continue in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And personally, I really like this alternate storyline. I like this alternate canon, and I like the concept of a Supreme Kai of Time for the video games. I think it was a great idea by Namco Bandai to create her. What do you think? Let me know. Do you think the concept of a God of Time would work in the actual Dragon Ball Super anime or manga, and the actual core Dragon Ball continuity? Who knows, but it sure as hell works for the video games, and with the ability to go back in time, we can now replay the entire Dragon Ball story all over again with a new twist, because Lord knows every game that came out for 10 years had us playing the same Raditz to Buu storyline over and over again. The Supreme Kai of Time and the Time Breakers really provided a new layer of storytelling and a fresh new look at the series we've all loved for many years. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all later.
I've come back from the future to warn you that if you don't subscribe to Geekdom 101, your future is grim.